Influences and everything that's behind all the work that you see now. A little bit of history about myself, and hopefully you'll be able to see sort of like the connections of, you know, my history and my influences, you know, within the work. Try not to explain it too much. It's not, I think, you know, especially with art, secrets and, you know, keeping something back is quite important. I mean, I think secrets are important, I think, for me. I've sort of grown up in that sort of environment. My sort of origins of really starting to take creativity and art seriously was really when in my adolescence, really, like 16. I mean, I was very privileged as being like, you know, 15, 16 years old, those sort of times when you're going really through, you know, difficult times and finding yourself and finding, you know, who you are and sort of exploring the world. And that's kind of a lot of what I was doing at that point during that adolescence, because my origin really was like graffiti art. So I'd go out at night and you know, explore the world, explore the city in this way that you felt was really, you were privileged. It was a very privileged time. You were discovering yourself and feeling really sort of brave and really exploratory in what you were doing, and experiencing things that people, you know, adults, people who knew more than you and more important than you, they didn't really have access to. So that was like a secret world that you were sort of creating for yourself, and I think I've sort of taken that through. So some of the things that I'll be talking about are just really like kind of influences and things that have come. When you're that young and you're taking something so seriously, so passionately, that, you know, that you're just really experiencing the world in a very, very different way. So that's sort of like the origins of where a lot of the work that's coming from here has gone through. But that had its own sort of language, creatively. And the language was a code between, you know, members of the group, you know, and you were kind of talking to members of the group. And those that were outside looking in, they may pick up what they picked up, you know, from it, and they'd have their own sort of thoughts about it. But it's very much a language within a group. So that was really the origins. But then, I suppose a few years back, I wanted to. What you have to do is kind of unlearn some things, because everything you do is a practice. You know, it is a practice, whether consciously or unconsciously, whatever you're putting out there, whatever you're trying to achieve is a practice. So doing that for many years, I wanted to grow in some ways. You know, you get older, you get more influences in your life, different things that come to you, you know, different experiences, and you want to express those as well. So this is the stripping back that I went through when I was doing graffiti art as such. It was very colourful. It was based around type and around lettering and coded words about names and phrases and different things that you were trying to express. Me myself, I was quite political, you know, in what I did, which was kind of quite rare. Because a lot of it was really about expressing a personality, expressing an identity that you created yourself, whatever that was. For some people it was just against the system, you know, it was against something that they felt was, you know, oppressive, or they didn't understand them, that type of thing. But for me, there was always a bit of a wider element to it, where I was always trying to express my ideas about politics, or about you know, how we should live, different things about the government or things that were really oppressing you at that time, because this was the 80s, and this was the time where the right wing was really kind of like on the ascendancy, on the rise, and you had to really kind of express yourself in a different way to kind of rebel against that. And you're rebelling anyway, because you're of that age where you should be rebelling. So we were doing that. But I felt came a certain time where I wanted to change, and so the process got stripped back, whereby I stripped out the colour, because I think working in sort of like black and white and tones of grey, you can create a lot more mood with it. You can sort of say things sort of in the subconscious that is not really, people aren't getting, they're not getting into the colour and all the thing that colour communicates. So that's why I've been working quite a while in this medium. Also the charcoal is kind of symbolic for me. The carbon, the base sort of materials and base things that we're all kind of made up of. Like all of us, the world and the universe is made up of. So I wanted to. So it kind of means a lot for me in that sense of why I made that change. It's very personal, but it's also very much something that was communicating to how my thoughts and feelings about the world are changing. So my interests are really sort of like subconscious. So, and some of you may know of Carl Jung and his sort of theories of the subconscious and these ideas that we kind of take with us from a sort of what they'll call the primitive brain, where it's the brain that keeps us going. I think it's the thing that keeps us rooted to the earth and to our experiences. Where modern life, that really technology and everything kind of gets in the way, and really it helps, but it also hinders as well. It also kind of makes us sometimes forget that primal, that original memory that we have of symbols and nature and things that we really need to hold on to, which is about our survival. So I'm very interested in perception and how people perceive things, the different ways people perceive things. My big interest is how people come to the work. Getting back, this is how the connection to the graffiti art was really, that it was nurtured there as well. Because when we used to create our works on trains or walls or whatever, we very much, the intervention into people's lives, into everyday life. And what you do is you'd watch how people were watching what you created, and you would you start to imagine what they're thinking and what they're taking away from it. And so that perception and that idea of how people perceive things is something really that I'm very interested in. A few years back I created a piece called Age of Shiva, which it was basically based on the terrorist attack that we had here on 7/7. But it used the sort of imagery that we were bombarded with throughout the media, but it put it in a different context. And I merged that with images from classical, what we call classical Western art, of nymphs and angels and different things that you'd see maybe if you went to the National Gallery, that was really sort of like some of the basis of sort of Western art, where it had this sort of message and it was in service of religion, but I wanted to put it into a different context and just make people kind of think about that. And what I found interesting about that is because once I created that, made that piece of work, there were lots of things online. The internet is obviously as it is. It's always talking and communicating and making up narratives that you don't really even know exist, like people kind of make it up themselves. And I came across some websites where people would really create like maybe a whole website dedicated to this piece, and then start saying like what I mean, you know, with these images, what each thing means, what's the symbolism behind it. And this was something that was completely outside of what I was really trying to communicate. And I just found that really, really fascinating that people take that on for themselves, and they run with it, and they go with it, and they create that thing. But that's in everything we have. We give meaning to things. We give meaning to everything around us. So some of the images that you'll see in here, I've taken them, very everyday things that we use sometimes, that we experience, and we imbue them with meaning, because that's what we do as humans, and that's a lot of the origins. It's the origins of art. It's making meaning of the things around us, the sun, the moon, the cycle of nature. Like what is that about? And it's all about making meaning of that. And we do that every day. And we all have rituals of some type that we do every day. Subconsciously, we just do these things. But they are an essential part of us, and we need to kind of like sometimes stop. And it's the job of the artist to make us kind of like look at these things in different ways, so we can kind of learn more from them. They're not just on this sort of base plane, on the sort of like ground level. They're all important to our sort of society and how we work together and how we live together. So that's really a lot of things that are in the work. Very interested in Max Ernst. If you see any of his work, you might, those that know about Max Ernst and some of the things that he was working on, again, about subconscious, about dreams, about these different ideas that we have within us that we don't consciously kind of think about all the time. So that's sort of like some of the basis behind what's going on within a lot of the work. A lot of this as well started from looking at my experiences when I was an adolescent doing graffiti and going around the city and looking at the architecture and experiencing the architecture in different ways. The work which was out in the environment, it always interacted with the environment. How it interacted, the spaces around it, spaces over it, underneath it, were all part of the work, and how it brought something more to the work. So I was very interested in these architectural shapes and sort of like brutalist sort of like architecture, and what that kind of says, and how people live within that, and how people experience it, and how how it changes our lives in some way. So some of the forms are architectural forms and how people live within that architecture, that space. But then that began to sort of go from the man-made into the natural solidity and solid sort of like entities that we have around us. So, therefore you'll see some of the sort of mountain shapes that are in there. And a lot of this is playing with form as well, looking at how form and shape can be represented in the work, and how those things they are. For example, mountains are a very, very special thing to us. We ascend them, people try and climb them, and they feel, like they've achieved something on top of the world. But as the title of the show is The Rise and Fall of Self-Assurance, it is about that self-assuredness that you have, that you feel you're in control. But there are times when that feeling of control dips, and you might feel afraid from that and kind of fear of that control. But within that fear, or within that sort of breaking down of that idea of you being very, very much in control and self-assured, is rebirth and new things, because we have to be open to sort of new ideas all the time. And some of my experience as well, life experience, is I've got into groups, different groupings, and different ideas that are quite fixed and quite sort of like sealed, and always found there's danger in those things. There's always, once you create this cocoon around you, it makes you feel kind of safe, then you start to withdraw from everything else that feeds into the sort of like unity of everything that's going on. So it's really a case of breaking out of that. Some of the writing that I've written about this show is talking about totalitarian states, as if these are figures and artefacts and landscapes from some sort of state. But obviously, that state is a state of mind. It is something that we all experience within ourselves, and we all kind of feel at some point. We may feel self-assured about one thing, feel very unsure about something else. And these are the normal sort of like undulations that we need to accept and really understand that they bring us a lot of kind of knowledge and experience. So that's where a lot of this is coming from. In terms of like some of the symbolism in the works, I look at everyday things and understand that sometimes they have a sort of very primal connection to our lives. Whether it's the shape of the comb that some people recognize as comb, some people don't. They just see it as some sort of shape. But for me, it's very symbolic in terms of my experiences as African. In some ways, I've gone through a trauma. We've all gone through a trauma. Anyone that's of the diaspora, African descent, gone through some trauma in terms of having things stripped away from us, having culture and different traditions and ideas stripped away. But I've always felt that that's an opportunity as well. I've always felt that is something that you've got to take, and you're starting from a clean slate, and you kind of come to things with a new understanding, with a fresh understanding, where you're not bogged down by tradition, culture, and how you're supposed to look at things. And I'm a product of England and the Caribbean and everywhere, lots of different places. So I'm able to, I feel kind of privileged in some ways. So I can explore without the dogma, because I'm trying to always get away from a dogma, from something that keeps you have to look at things in a certain way, and you have to follow a certain path, because that's what's expected of you. So you take this opportunity. So the rise and fall of self-assurance is the opportunities that come with feeling out of place, feeling marginalized.